In the city of Lagos, there is a saying, if the food is too sweet, look for the source of the sugar. Mama Shade was the most famous pepper soup woman in the Ogba district. Her shop was not a fancy restaurant. It was a small wooden shack under a massive mango tree, but at 6 p.m. every evening, you would see expensive Mercedes-Benz cars parked alongside yellow commercial buses. Rich men, poor laborers, and even students from the university all stood in the same queue. They were all there for one thing, the midnight secret pepper soup. Back then, Emek was a lean, tense man working as a clerk nearby. He was one of her most loyal customers. He couldn't help it. If he didn't eat Mama Shade's goat meat pepper soup for 2 days, his hands would start to shake. He would lose his appetite for any other food. He felt like I was in love, not with a woman, but with a bowl of soup. Mama Shade was a large woman with a smile that never reached her eyes. She always wore a clean white apron, but she never let anyone, not even her assistants, near the big iron pot she used to cook the main broth. She would arrive at the shop at 5 p.m. with 3 large plastic kegs of special water that she said she fetched from a sacred spring in her village. "This is the water of life," she would tell us, laughing as she poured it into the pot. "It is what makes the goat meat soft. It is what makes the spice bite your tongue just right." The soup was incredible. It was dark, spicy, and had a scent that could wake a dead man. When you drank it, you felt a warmth spread through your body that made you forget all your problems. People told stories about her soup. They said it could cure malaria. They said it could make a man's business grow. But Emeka started to notice something strange. The customers weren't just eating, they were acting like addicts. He saw a man once cry because the soup finished before it got to his turn. He saw 2 brothers fight with broken bottles over the last piece of liver in the pot. And Mama Shade just watched them, sitting on her stool, her eyes cold and calculating. Emeka's suspicion started on a Tuesday. He had forgotten my bag at a shop near Mama Shade's house. She lived in a small bungalow at the end of a lonely street. It was around 2 a.m., and he was walking back from a late shift. As he passed her house, he smelled it. The scent of the pepper soup. But it was raw, thick, and heavy. He saw a light on in her backyard. Curiosity is a dangerous thing, but that night, it pulled him toward her fence. He climbed a small pile of bricks and looked over. What he saw did not make sense at first. There was a massive fire burning under a tripod stand. A giant pot of water was steaming. Mama Shade was there, but she wasn't wearing her white apron. She was naked. She was squatting over a large silver basin filled with warm water and a mixture of strange herbs. She was washing her genitals into the basin. She was chanting in a low, humming voice, a language that sounded like 1,000 bees. "Let them come. Let them drink. Let them hunger. Let their pockets empty into my hand. My body is the salt, my sweat is the spice." Emeka felt the soup he had eaten earlier that evening turn into lead in my stomach. His throat felt like it was closing. She took the basin of wash water, cloudy, gray, and thick, and poured it directly into the big cooking pot. Then she took a long wooden spoon and began to stir. She repeated this process 3 times. She would wash, chant, and pour. She was using her own body fluids to season the soup. It wasn't a recipe. It was a spell. It was what we call juju, the dark kind. She was using commanding water from her own body to make sure that anyone who tasted that soup would be spiritually tied to her shop. They wouldn't just like the food, they would be under her control. Emeka vomited right there behind the bricks. He ran all the way home, scrubbing my tongue with salt until it bled. But the horror was only beginning. I knew I had to tell someone, but who would believe me? To the village and the city, Mama Shade was a blessed woman. He said, even the local police chief ate there for free every Friday. If I spoke, they would say I was jealous of her success. But the gods have a way of exposing the wicked when their cup is full. 2 weeks later, a new man moved into the area. His name was Chinedu Okofo. Chinedu was a tall, slim man with gentle eyes and grey strands in his hair. He was a retired health inspector, a man who believed in rules and cleanliness. Chinedu went to Mama Shade's shop one evening. He took one sip of the soup and stopped. He didn't swallow it. He spat it out into a napkin. "Something is wrong with this meat," he said loudly. The shop went silent. People stopped chewing. Mama Shade looked up from her stool, her eyes turning into sharp slits. "What did you say, old man?" she asked. "This is not just spice," Chinedu said, his voice calm but firm. "There is a fermentation here that is not from plants. It smells of human waste." Mama Shade laughed, but it was a nervous sound. "You are crazy. Get out of my shop." But Chinedu didn't leave. He was a man of science. He had brought a small kit with him. He had been suspicious of the addiction he saw in the street. He dipped a testing strip into his bowl. "I am an inspector," he shouted to the crowd. "This woman is using something called organic binding agents. It is a fancy word for body fluids. If you eat this, you are eating her dirt." The crowd began to murmur. Some people got angry at Chinedu, telling him to shut up. But then, a young girl, one of Mama Shade's assistants who had been treated like a slave, suddenly broke down. "He is telling the truth," she wailed, falling to her knees. "I see her every night. She makes us fetch the water, but she finishes the seasoning alone in the room. We are forbidden to look." But I looked. I saw the basin. I saw what she does. The atmosphere changed in a second. The love the customers had for the soup turned into a violent, burning rage. A man who had spent his children's school fees at the shop grabbed a pot and smashed it on the ground. The dark, oily soup spilled out, and the smell that rose from the hot ground was no longer delicious. Without the heat of the fire to hide it, the scent of the wash water became clear. It smelled like a locker room. It smelled like rot. "You fed us this," a woman screamed. "I fed this to my baby." The crowd turned into a mob. Mama Shade tried to run to her house, but they were too fast. They dragged her out. They didn't use guns or knives. They forced her to sit on the ground in front of her own pots. "Drink it," they commanded. "No," she screamed. "Please. Drink all of it." They forced her to drink the cold, greasy remains of the soup. Then, they brought the special water kegs from her house, the ones she hadn't used yet, and poured them over her head. The police finally arrived, but they couldn't stop the people. The health department came and shut down the street. When they dug up the area behind her house, they found more than just basins. They found small pots buried in the ground containing the names of her most wealthy customers written on pieces of paper, soaked in that same foul water. Mama Shade didn't go to jail for long. She didn't have to. The shame did the work. She became a beggar on the very street where she used to be a queen. She would sit by the road, her body smelling of rotten pepper, but no one would give her a penny. Even the stray dogs avoided her. The wicked queen of the pepper soup pot thought she was clever. She thought she could control the city with her body. But the earth does not hide secrets forever.